What? Now we're live on LinkedIn. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ask Ira, Jobseekers Q&A. I am joined today. It is Monday, November 9th. I had to look down at the calendar because I never leave my house anymore, so I forget what day it is, Jen. But I have Jen Morris with me. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Hey, everybody. Happy Monday.
Yeah, so we are going to do what? We're going to answer your job seeker, job search related questions. If you want to know about the ATS, oh my goodness, or you want to know about interview strategies, or you want to talk about maybe some industries that are hiring, like who's hiring? People hiring right now, Jen? Is that crazy to think that people are actually hiring, but they are? We could talk about anything from informational interviews. We could talk about, social media and how to like build rapport with people and make connections with recruiters. What's the best way to approach a recruiter if you don't know one and you would like to? So we can talk about any of those things. We've got our first comment, which is a hello from my friend Biana. I was actually just messaging with her. She's been on the show before too. She helps people with human resources over in Europe. She's from Slovenia. So awesome. I like to say it that way. I don't know why.
Yeah, worldwide.
Yeah, so let's do this. Since some people might not know who you are, you want to tell people a little bit about you and your background?
Yeah, so I am currently a job search coach. Started my business a few years back after a lengthy career in recruitment and senior management. For years and years, I helped my friends get jobs. And finally, one day it hit me of, oh, I really enjoy this. I should probably help some other people. So started my business, and really what I do is with clients, really give you the perspective of the recruiter. So yeah. All questions about recruitment and how to work with recruiters are certainly welcome. And what I did also was built out a specific like job search action plan so that you know how clients know how to go about job search nowadays. You know, it looks much different today than it did even 5 years ago. And I saw that massive shift when LinkedIn came on, when applicant tracking systems started, when job boards started. You know, I was a recruiter way back in the day. So saw all of those changes happening and really saw how valuable networking can be and how valuable your connections are today. So 100%. That's the approach that I take for job search.
You have a website, right?
I do. The website is careerinspo.com. Inspo like inspiration.
Inspo.com. Yeah. Is it plural or singular? Career or careers?
Career, CAREERINSPO.
Got it. Okay. So here's why I asked, because I'm going to do this. Share screen. Boop, boop, boop. Is that the one?
Yeah, that's the one.
All right. So if you all are looking for more information from our buddy, Jen Morris, and I say our buddy because if you're not her buddy by the end of the show, I hope you will be. And I'm going to do this for you all right now. I'm going to take this guy right there and I'm going to put it in the comments so you guys can join. Go visit her website. She's got information on here. You can also schedule a coaching session. I'm sure she would love to have you join her on a one-on-one conversation where she can help you specifically with your specific search. So anyways, go ahead and check it out. It is right there, careerinspo.com. It's got a little gobbledygook at the end of it, but anyways, that'll get you where you want to go. And hello from Norcross, Georgia, Patricia.
Hey.
So if you guys, once you're in the audience, right? We have people watching on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I can see comments on all three platforms. So leave your comment. Let us know where you are. Let us know what type of work you're looking for. And let us know if you're looking for remote work or if you're looking for traditional in-office work. The more you give us, you're not only giving it to Jen and I, which is helpful. We can talk about it while we're on the show. But I have employers, I have recruiters who watch these episodes. Most of the audience will come after the live is over because I broadcast this not only on my YouTube channel, but also on Project Help You Grow. I have a page dedicated, just like I do for podcasts. I have a page dedicated just for this show, which is called Ask Ira Job Seeker Q&A. And there are, I think, 15 episodes already on that site. So if you don't get the answer you're looking for on this show, you can go back and watch one of the previous shows. Biana, for example, her episode is on there. I had Kelly Robinson from Pananos on, and I had somebody else I'm forgetting off the top of my head now. But anyways, I've had a few guests. So if you guys are interested, check that out. And you can learn, again, you can learn more about Jen, my friend, on her website. You can find her on LinkedIn and connect with her. She would be happy to connect with you. This is all about networking anymore. I read in an article, I think it was on the Wall Street Journal, and actually Biana is the one who pointed it out to me. 80% of people right now are not finding a job through job boards. So networking is more important than these job boards, but most job seekers are spending like the majority of their time on the job boards thinking that's the right thing to do. So having a career coach like Jen can help straighten you out super quick. And anyway, do you want to give an idea of what you charge so people, have an idea of what they need? Or is it a custom thing?
Nope. The products and pricing are all on the website. I'm certainly happy to share it. Yeah. So
okay. Do you want me to pull it up? Should I go to resources or where should I go?
It's under Work With Me.
Work With Me. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just look at it real quick so you guys can see what it is. Okay. So you've got
I do one call sessions. I call it Get Your Shift Together.
I love it. I have to be careful how I say that.
Yeah. So, and I do the one call option. It's $300. On that call, we dive deep into what you are doing in your job search. And then I give you suggestions on what I think will get you better results. Okay. And then, of course, I give you any tool that I think you need to implement that plan that we come up with. So essentially, we do one call, you get the plan, and then you're off and running. I certainly do, Ira, agree with what you just said about leveraging people and leveraging your network. That's something I can typically cover in one call and walk you through my strategy and how to go do that.
Yeah.
So that's Get Your Shift Together.
So that's the entry level one for people to get their toes wet.
So it doesn't exactly work like that. Sometimes people just need one call and then they get on and running with their search. Yeah. Or sometimes people want a longer term engagement. Maybe there's more topics we need to cover, not just job search strategy, but maybe you want a resume review, or maybe you're not clear on how to set your goals and how to determine what next job you should go after. Or maybe you're not clear on interviewing or whatever. So the Make Your Move program is actually just meant to be a 1 month engagement where we meet each week, talk through specific parts of job search. I work you through my job search strategy step by step. You go implement and you keep me on as a partner for that month. We talk weekly as well as you have me available via email in between. And that program, so it's 1 month long. Also includes my video training library. So you can kind of do things at your own pace or work through it with me, but I'm there to support while you're implementing to help fine tune. So Make Your Move is 1 month. Basic is $1,200.
Once a week, one-on-one.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. Once a week, one-on-one call plus email support in between calls.
And then
so
this
I'm
is the
side by side.
Name of the website right here, Career Inspo. So this is going to be a good one.
Yep. Yeah.
This is
So
the
with
one.
Make Your Move, there's two options. One is just doing the calls. That's the basic one. It's $1,200. Or the $1,600 option would include me doing your resume and your LinkedIn profile writing as well.
Okay. So it's
Two
more
options with that. And then I have a 3-month engagement for those who know you're going to take some time to figure out that next step and you want some guided support there. And then also the job search action plan, and then also interview preparation and debriefs. So that's the career inspo method, that last option there. So all these options across the top are one-on-one coaching.
I love what you just said about the debrief, because I think there's a lot of things that can be learned, assuming that you're not hitting this out of the ballpark the very first shot. That's why you need some coaching. That debrief. People spend a lot of time in preparation for the interview, but not necessarily enough considering what happened, especially when you are talking to somebody like you, Jen, who's been doing this. I hate to say you're old, but you've been doing this a while. You know what I mean?
You can say it.
You have experience like I do. It's good to talk to somebody like us, because why? Well, we can pick up things that you might have missed and not it might not have resonated. And it's an opportunity for you to do better next time, or even as follow-ups when you're reaching back out, something you might want to touch on that can help drive home a point. And that could be the difference between landing the job and continuing the search, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I used to, as a recruiter, my rule was anybody that I sent on an interview, they had to call me immediately afterwards. Back in the day, we used to give them a quarter to use the payphone. So that's how old I am.
Here's a quarter, call someone who cares. Okay. So you guys have, or you're just joining us. We got some new people that are watching this now. Careerinspo.com. Speaking with the website, a career coach, my friend, former recruiter, Jen Morris. Okay, so that's something more about the site. That link is in the comments for you to click on, and then you can visit the site and set up an appointment if you like. I will tell you that Bowman Coaching, I do social media only. I don't do career coaching. A lot of people think because I run Project Help You Grow, I have career service coaching. I don't do that at all. I refer them to people like you. But in the social media coaching, I do a lot of what you were just talking about with the one-on-one stuff. It's a lot of my clients are one and dones, because it's just a quick cleanup, what to do with the profile, what to do with the headline, what recommendations to keep and what to get rid of, and maybe how to keyword search, optimize your profile so that when people are searching, which they don't think about.
Yeah.
But if they don't know you, they're not looking for you. They're looking for somebody who has your skills. Then these are the things that we need to do so that you come up higher in the search. They're not searching through 572 pages to get to you because they don't know you. You gotta be at the top. So how do you get there? That's the kind of stuff. So
I love the one call, because you can really pinpoint stuff, and really sometimes it's just the smallest tweaks that can make all the difference for clients. So those one calls are great.
It's funny too, because a lot of people that I met, they were somebody I didn't know. They became a one-off coaching client, and then we became friends. I actually connected with them on LinkedIn because we became friends, and they get more, frankly, out of being connected to me because of my network size and momentum than they would have just from the one coaching session, which I know sounds very egotistical, and I don't mean it that way. It's just I have a large network, and so that it's one of those things. Who you know is super important. I tell people, and you let me know what you think about this, but I tell people there are 3 pillars to the job search these days. There's your education, which is important. There's your experience, which is important. And there's the who you know. And if you're not focusing on all 3, you really are missing out. You've got to focus on all 3 pillars. So I don't know if you would say there's a 4th. I haven't thought of the 4th, but maybe location.
No, I think you probably nailed them. Maybe if there was a 4th, but this probably comes under education, that would be like how you're positioning yourself and how you talk to people. So tying what you've learned in education with that networking piece, like how to make networking for job search happen, because it is a little bit different than just general networking. If you're a professional not looking for a job, you have different conversations than when you are looking for a job. So
there's no doubt. I'm going to pull up for you. We do have a couple questions, so I'm gonna pull something up. Actually, one of these. Leo is from San Diego, and he's transitioning from the military to a PM role. and he's asking me if I can review his resume. It's not actually something that I do for free, Leo. And honestly, I recommend that you go to other people for that. I have a list of people that I could suggest. However, if you send it to me because you are transitioning military, I will take a look at it. The number one thing that I could tell you right off the bat is if it's ATS compliant or not. I did a really deep dive study on the ATS system and what is generally accepted in the different programs to make sure that people would not be automatically rejected, because I can tell you that 3 out of 4 resumes never get seen by human beings. So if you're not in compliance with the general rules of the ATS, then that'll bump you out. So I can look at that real quick and tell you. But if you need more advanced help, people like Jen Morris, that's why she's on the show. Okay, let's see. I expect your kind corporation to get opportunity regarding job, business facilities for your. I actually don't 100% understand the question, Jen. I'll let you look at it too, but I think he's asking, can I help him find a job? ProjectHelpYouGrow.com, which is right above our head in the banner. That's the website that I run. That's free job search assistance. If you want paid job search assistance, you go to somebody like my friend Jen, and she can help you one-on-one. Project Help You Grow is a self-service website. I get so many emails every day from people. I heard you help people find jobs. I do, but I don't do it one-on-one. It's my philanthropy, as you well know. You've been associated with Project Help You Grow for a long time. So again, I'm not calling you old. It's just you know what's going on. Why did I keep going there? I'm going to get myself smacked. But
I wrote a virtual smack. Don't worry.
Right, that's right. I wrote a blog. I actually want to pull it up. I think this will help a lot of people. I've covered almost everything. I've covered keywords. I've covered fractional work. I've covered how to job search in during COVID, interview prep, the ATS, how to write a resume that's ATS compliant, all these things. But the one I want to share right now, and I actually want to share it because I want to talk to you about it specifically. So I wrote this thing. It's called Block Schedule for Job Seekers.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I wrote. So I said, the way we spend our time is important. If you talk to most job seekers who are just flying by the seat of their pants, willy-nilly, most of them are spending most of their time going through job listings, and that's how they spend their day, which is a huge waste of time.
Mind-numbing.
And you know also that they're doing it wrong because they're applying in bulk. Just apply. They're not reviewing or revising the resume at all for the job description, which we know is a big waste of time. So here I've helped people like, okay, how should you spend your day? That's the premise of the blog. Okay. So I said, you're going to clock in. Now this is Monday through Friday. You're going to clock in at 8 o'clock, just like you would your normal day. And you're going to divide your time into the blocks. So I've got 8 to 9:45, an hour and 45 minutes. They're going to be doing research on the vertical market, looking for indices trends. This is how they're going to stay current in their industry, because a lot of the average job search is 7 months, and it's even longer right now with COVID. So if you're out for 7 months, you might have missed a few things. And when you go to interview, if you're behind, that could again cost you your job. So then from 9:45 to 10, you get a 15-minute break. Then from 10 to noon, I say, okay, now is the time for 2 hours a day. For 10 hours a week, we're going to look at job listings. You do have to know what jobs are out there. From noon to 12:30, we're going to do a lunch. And then the rest of the day, this is what we're doing. From 12:30 to 2, so an hour and a half, 90 minutes a day, we're doing social networking on social media. And I know that's crazy, right? But we're building relationships. Then from 2 to 4, we're doing it. What I tell people to do, and I won't read the whole paragraph, but I'll tell you what it says. What I'm saying is look at the jobs in the job listings time, this 2-hour window that I told them to look for jobs. I said, just set aside the ones that you like the best. And then at this time, what I'm telling them to do is pick the one that you like the most. And now we're going to do a deep dive in that company. We're going to look at that company. We're going to look at, like Glassdoor, and we're going to look at their LinkedIn. We're going to look at their website. We're going to go on to NASDAQ or whatever stock exchange, if they're a publicly traded company. We're going to find out everything we can about them. And then from 4 to 5, so 1 hour a day, we're going to be doing skills development, like on Coursera or LinkedIn or wherever you're going to get your scores, so that we can keep your certifications current and we can keep your education as up to date as possible. I contend, and then I tell them what to do the rest of the day. So I contend that's like the best way for job seekers to spend their time. But I haven't talked to another career coach about that. So I would love for you to say, okay, Ira, I like what you got going on, but you might want to shift the times around. You can be painfully honest, or you can tell me this behind the scenes if you want. But anyways, because people ask me all the time for advice. And now that is my best advice based on my experience. I am not a career coach like you are. This is not what I do for a living. You know what I mean? So I always tell people my advice, you have to read it with a grain of salt, because I'm not trying to say anywhere, go through, read anything. I don't claim to be a guru or a career expert. Like, you know what I mean? Some people, like, they just started doing this 5 minutes ago and they're gurus. Yeah, I'm not. That's not me. So what do you think? Do you think that makes sense, or do you think you would revise something? I mean, now again, those are supposed to be Monday through Friday, so everything's times 5. And then I tell them weekends to take a break, so
I
that
love
they
it.
on Monday fresh. Let's hit the thing, but it's a job. Your job when you don't have a job is to find a job.
Yeah.
But there's more to it, obviously, than just filling out that submit resume button.
Yeah. So I think you hit a lot of great points in the article and the recommendations. I agree with much of it, and as far as the activities that you're doing, but I do think that you can really optimize your time spent on things if you know the specific things that you can do that'll move job search along. So the 2 hours a day, what did you say? 2 hours a day on job boards?
Yeah, well, job listings.
Yeah.
And so that's looking through the job listings and figuring out which ones you want to really go for, as opposed to you just read one and you just apply it right on the fly. It's like, nope, I want you to comb through. And again, it's going to depend where you are in the search. I mean, if you've been searching for 6 months, you probably know, and hopefully you're in depth in interviews. You've got a couple different ones, you know what I mean? So this is more written for the people just starting out than it is the people that have been doing it for 6 months, because I'm presuming the people in 6 months in have a pretty good plan of attack already going. Hopefully, if they don't, they're way behind the 8 ball, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just so different nowadays that, even somebody that's job searched 2 years ago, you try the same tactics today and you may not get the same results. So, I mean, people do go a long amount of time looking for jobs. I think for executive job search, they say it's anywhere from 7 to 12 months on average to land a new job.
Let's talk about executive careers for just a second, because this assumes non-C-level, non-VP roles. This is like mid-management and below.
Yeah. So I define executive as director and up.
Yeah. So director and up, I have been telling people, they should have a headhunter. They should have some professional help finding those positions, because a lot of those are not advertised, as you well know. So if you're looking for them by yourself, you're not even seeing everything that's really out there, because a lot of companies with the director roles, VP roles, C-level roles, they don't want the public to think that they're unstable, right?
I think the higher you go up, that becomes true. So director, maybe not so much. VP and C-level, yes. Yeah. And remember this, the recruiters or headhunters, those third parties, they fill 10% of the jobs out there. Yeah. So if you translate that into where to spend your time, I say spend 10% of your time building relationships with those third-party recruiters or headhunters.
There you go. Well, I'll tell you what, if you're ever willing to write a blog on this, I will post it on Project Help You Girl in like 35 seconds. You know what I'm saying?
I'll do it.
Do it. Because for me, Project Help You Girl was never about making Ira famous. It was always about giving people. Now, I'm dealing primarily with people who are broke. So it's self-service help, but I always wanted the quality of the help to be awesome. You know what I mean? And I think that if you go through it and comb through it, most people will go, yeah, it's really good. There are some things that probably should be rewritten now, because like the advice was putting out 2 years ago and things have changed. I did have somebody, I couldn't believe it. I had somebody bashing me because they said the job search from the beginning of COVID was exactly the same, like nothing changed. And I'm like, are you kidding me? The world is remote now. Most people don't interview in person right now. That's a big shift. Go back to February 2020. Most interviews were done in person, especially, beyond the initial entry first,
Yeah.
just qualifying interview that you're doing with the recruiter. But, most of those were going to be done in person. Now they're all, I mean, do you know anybody still interviewing in person? I don't.
Some people are. Usually
Yeah.
they're doing initial interviews remotely, but some will bring you in for an in-person. But yeah, just to go along with what your original point was, yes, I think things have changed, but I also find, I might agree with this person, and I'm not bashing you by any means, but I do also find that the process of job hunting, like my action plan or my implementation plan, has only changed a little bit. I've always leveraged social media. I've always leveraged the networks to help
Yeah.
find jobs. So that much hasn't changed, but
Well,
definitely whether interviews are happening in person or not has changed for sure.
Yeah. So like this article right here, I wrote this in March.
Mm-hmm.
This advice.
The same.
Yeah. This hasn't changed. So
Right.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, for me, a lot of people think that it's just job board, job board, job board. And those people are the same, whether it was, 3 months ago or 3 years ago. They just think that, I'm going to go to ZipRecruiter or Indeed or wherever they going, LinkedIn, and I'm going to find a job. It's going to be easy.
Yeah.
Like people tell me, can you help me find a job in the United States? They're coming to me from India or the UAE or Africa, and they're going, hey, I really want to work in the US. Great. Where? Doing what? I don't care. Anything. Like, well, you're never going to get hired. You know what I mean? Like, nobody wants to hire that guy. They want to hire the person who wants to live in this specific city and do this specific thing, and they have the skills that go with that.
Targeted. Yeah.
So like,
you're speaking to a great point of being clear in what you're after, and not just in, this is what I want, but this is what I can bring to the table. Because everybody is in it for themselves. Yeah.
I tell people
employers want to know.
Like they're advertising a job, but what they're really saying is I have a hole that I need to fill. This is a hole. It's a specific hole. So if it's like oblong shape, like football shaped, and you're a square, then you don't help. You know what I mean? You got to fill the whole hole.
Right.
So
Right.
I tell people all the time, and again, you're a career coach, so I'm going to lay it out there, and you can validate or you can help me get better, because I'm cool with either way. I don't have to be right. I would rather learn. So what I'm telling people is, if they're saying, okay, I don't want to pick on anybody. Let's say I'm in Ghana. Okay, I'm in West Africa, and I want to move to Canada. I get that every single day. Not necessarily from Ghana, but from Africa.
I do too.
Right? I want to move. I'm said, first of all, why? Like, what makes you want to move there? It's like almost like a fantasy, right? But I tell people, I think about it this way. If I was an employer, when I opened my business, I didn't open my business to necessarily help employees. I did it to make money, right? So I look at employees and my relationship with them. It is important, but it's not the primary thing that I'm doing. And certainly, unless you are a philanthropist, you didn't open up with the idea of bringing people in from other countries to fill those roles. But you need those people. It is a symbiotic relationship. So you go, okay, if I have a hole that I need to fill, it's supply and demand is what I tell people to think about. If there are 100 people in my local market that I can fill the job, they're qualified and they will work for the wage that I'm willing to pay. There is a price factor that is important here, because sometimes you can bring in labor and it's cheaper. So I don't want to discount that. But think about it this way. Let's say for a minute that you and I are in a relationship and you're going to cook a meal and you ask me to go to the store and get an ingredient for the meal. If I could get that in any local supermarket because it was ready available, why would I drive 3 states over to pick the same ingredient and bring it home? That wouldn't make sense. Nope. And that's the same thing with bringing in foreign labor. It's like, yes, there are times where it makes sense. There's a labor shortage or the amount of readily available people who are qualified to do that role, they're just not available. Whether that be a price thing or just they don't have the education, or there was a rush on labor and there's just a shortage. Those are reasons why people would bring you in. But even when you interview them, let's say you interview 15 people. The person who says, I want to live, let's say Los Angeles, because that's where I'm coming to you from. I want to live in Los Angeles, and they can make a case for why they want to live in Los Angeles versus the person who says, I don't care. I just want to move out of wherever. I just want to live in the United States. That doesn't give me much confidence that you're going to be the one who wants to stay. You know what I mean? So you not only have to fill the hole, you also have to build the rapport, and you have to give them confidence. Why do people ask the where are you going to be in 5 years question? Because they want to know you're stable. They want to know that you want to be there. Like, I interviewed people legitimately who told me with things like, oh, I'm going to finish my master's in 2 years and I'm going to go like sell stocks for a living. And I'm like, well, I guess you don't need this print job.
You're not going to be here long term.
Right. So I would be doing this again. Yeah, I think I'm going to move on to the next candidate. I mean, we ask questions like that for that reason. So anyways, I just laid out stuff, but you tell me, you like it? Anything you might change or something I didn't?
You're exactly right. I mean, the thing I think that most job seekers, not most, but some job seekers will miss is the risk in hiring you. And if you're from another country, there's a risk in bringing you over. There's a delay in the time that it takes to get you the visa and get that kind of permission. And most employers don't have that kind of time. So time is one thing when you're from out of the country, but risk, there's always a risk in whoever you hire. So I always recommend for job seekers, be thinking about, as you pointed out, be clear in what your future goals are, but be thinking about what risk or red flag that might raise if you give that answer to an employer.
100%. And then something that I've been saying right now, which is new, because what I used to tell people, my number one like strategy for somebody who was out of country who wanted to work in a new country was say, okay, try to find, and I got this from Juliana Ravi. She said, Ira, what you do is you get somebody to work locally wherever they're legally allowed to work that has a multinational business. So, you know, they have a location, brick and mortar in that place that they want to go. So you start locally, you work with HR and you let them know, like from the beginning, like, hey, I eventually would love to transfer. And then eventually you can get transferred. It's not a short resolution, but it's an end game that could, you know, a long game that could be very successful. So that's what I was telling people, like as a strategy, that's what I would do. The other thing I was telling people to do now because of COVID is a lot of people are hiring for remote work that weren't before. So, okay, get the job remote. It doesn't get you in country. It just gets you in company. But then you become an invaluable part of the team over time. And then maybe that opportunity to transfer into the States or Canada or wherever it is that you want to transfer becomes a realistic option. And now it's not the same thing as you as a job seeker because now you're a part of the team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anyways, couple strategies that could work. I've shared those every single one of these shows. I get asked that question. So I just cut that off at the pass, hopefully. We do have a question. Didn't get to read it all. I'm going to put it up. It's kind of wordy. So here we go. Hey, Ira, I had a lot of trouble finding sustainable work in copywriting in the last few years. I'm considering abandoning my long-term career and going for something a little more traditionally popular. Don't hate that idea so far. Maybe web development. Okay. It's not my dream career, but I have responsibilities and I'm getting fed up waiting for the right opportunity to come along. How do I draw up a two-tier career path and make it work? So this is something where you hire my friend Jen, and you might have a multi-pronged process where you would address short-term bridge gap or whatever you want to call it type work versus here's the thing I will tell you. His name is Duncan. Duncan, I'm not in love with getting away from what you're passionate about if it's something that can actually sustain you, and copywriting certainly can. I'm going to bring up a term that you may or may not be familiar with. It's called fractional work. I wrote an article on fractional work, and it's on Project Help You Grow. You can go read it. It's one of the things that I'm doing right now to feed my family. Okay, I was laid off, Jen. I don't know if you know this. I had a job full time for 20 years. I was a business-to-business sales rep in the print business. In May, I was furloughed. And honestly, I didn't even know what that really meant. I had to look that up. Again, I'm not a career expert. I had to look. And then in June, I was actually laid off. I was fired, not for cause, but fired no job. Yeah. So because I know it takes a long time to find a job on average, and I have bills I had to pay right now, and Duncan, this is where I'm going with all this. What I did is I opened Bowman Digital Media LLC as an official business. I got my LLC. I opened up my bank account. I reached out to people who need the stuff that I do for a living and said, hey, can I do piecemeal work for you? This is what I charge. And I got a lot of yes. Boom. Now, copywriting. Let me just give you a hint. People like me who run businesses like Bowman Digital Media, we need copywriters.
Yeah.
Now, I can't afford to pay you 40 hours a week, but I could pay you something. So what I'm going to tell you is, and I'm going to let Jen talk, but what I'm going to tell you is you should consider that. Now, maybe you still have another job, and it's not something you're passionate about, but this allows you to stay in that passion zone, which is important to your mental health, to your overall well-being. It is important, and it's what I did. So it can be done. Now, I was blessed in the fact that I don't have to work another job, okay, because I have the social media network that I have. You know, I was able to find enough work to pay the bills. But most people will have to do a bridge job until you get your fractional work built up, and there's nothing wrong with that. But anyways, I'm gonna let Jen. Jen, you know.
Yeah. So this is really a common thing, and so you're a copywriter. You can't find a job in that, so now you're thinking you need to open your options even more and go towards these other careers that you're not necessarily interested in. And what I find is, if you have a specific plan for job search, if you know how to job search and know what works today, you will find that copywriting opportunity. So these are calls and emails I get all day long, and clients that I work with, to show you specifically how to find a job today in today's job market in what you want to be doing. A little hint, it's going to be through your network. It's going to be working through people. If you're not finding it on the job boards, that's only 25% of what's really out there. 75% of jobs are filled before they're ever advertised. I think earlier Ira quoted that maybe it's 80% now. These jobs are filled before they're advertised. So if your only plan is to look at job boards and apply and then sit and wait, that's going to be a very long process. So if you have a really good process in place to leverage networking and leverage people to help you uncover opportunities, I think you could stay in that career that you're passionate about.
Let me give
Can you tell I'm passionate about this?
Yes, this is why you're on my show. And you tell everybody I reached out to you to bring you on.
Yeah, that's right.
Jen's my friend. Okay, let me help this too. I think I've talked about this before in the past, but never actually on Ask Ira, Job Seeker Q&A. So I want to address something. You're a career coach. You charge money. And some people go, Ira, I can't afford it. Let me tell you why you're wrong, Mr. Job Seeker, Mrs. Job Seeker. Okay? Here's why you're wrong. If you hire someone like Jen, who's been doing this for a little bit, I'm not going to say a long time anymore, because I don't want to get snagged anymore. All right? So she's been doing it a while. This is what she does for a living. She's really good at it. That's why she's on the show. By the way, I don't bring novices on my show, okay? So you guys understand. How much money do you make when you have a job? You make more money than when you don't have a job, right? Yes. Okay. Now, Jen, when someone's looking for a job without you versus when someone's looking for a job with you, which is shorter?
With me, of course.
Of course. Okay.
Now about half the time.
Okay, half the time.
Back to work faster.
Yeah, we know that the average job search before COVID, pre-COVID-19, was somewhere between 6 and 7 months. It depends a little bit on your industry. Okay. Yep. But let's just go 6.5 months. Now, if it takes you half the time, here's what I want you to do. So this is just basic math. Okay. Take your average monthly salary and multiply that by 3, and then subtract out Jen's fee. Go for the most expensive one, that $3,700 one. Let's go for that one. Okay. Subtract out $3,700. Do you have money left over? If you do, then you can afford it. You understand what I just said? Because you're going to find a job faster. I promise you. And you're probably going to find a better job. And you're probably going to make more money than you would have without her, because she's going to help you negotiate a better salary. I'm telling you, it's a freaking no-brainer. Get your shift together, people.
Yes. I think I'm going to start promoting that program this week.
CareerInspo.com.
Because it's fun.
That's INSPO. Inspiration. Okay. So You didn't know I was going to advertise for you, but I.
No, I didn't.
So, but do you understand what I'm saying, right? I mean, look, they go, I can't afford it because I don't have an income coming in. Yes, but you're forgetting about the opportunity cost of not doing it, which is not making any money while you're looking and struggling on your own. And here's what happens. I'm going to just be blunt with people today because I'm feeling that way. If you do this on your own, you don't get any help. You're likely to find a job. It'll take you longer. You're also probably not going to get the job of your dreams. You're going to find something that you're just filling a gap, and it's going to affect you 100% because you're not going to be happy. Guess what? When the market does come back, and I believe it will, then what's going to happen? You're going to want to search again and go through this whole mess again. And like I said, most people don't understand how to negotiate for salary like a professional does. Now, that's actually something I'm good at because I'm in the sales business. All right. So I can help with that part. But here's the thing. Most of you don't have my experience in negotiating. That's just a fact. I'm not, again, it's not braggart. It's just, I've been doing this a long time. So you're going to make less money than you would if you had somebody like Jen in your corner. She's worth every single penny and then some. I promise you. So whether you hire Jen or you hire someone else, a career, most of you are not even considering getting the help you really need because you're looking at the upfront cost. You're not considering the net difference in what you would get if you pay for help versus if you go it alone. Now, again, I run Project Help You Grow, which is 100% free self-help. But I promise you that everybody who hires a professional, a true professional, is better off than anybody just using Project Help You Grow only.
Yeah.
And I'm the owner of Project Help You Grow, and I can say that without hesitation. Okay.
And I would encourage people to not assume every coach's programs start at $1,000 and up. Like I have stuff that's $27, $97, $300. Like you can get the professional help that's out there. Maybe you can't afford that giant package that just can't make that work. Fine. But figure out the exact piece that you need and get that piece at least. So don't just totally discount coaching as a whole. Certainly check out and see what options are out there.
Right. And then consider what I said about opportunity cost, because it's not just, well, the ticket item is this or the ticket item is that. The term that I like to use is value. There's a value that comes with the higher ticket items that you don't necessarily get with the entry level stuff. I mean, as a coach, I'm happy when people sign up for a session, but it's not necessarily the best thing for them. Like right. Bowman Digital Media, I have a menu too for creating websites, for doing press releases, for doing social media management, for doing like logo design and all these things. I have a menu, I have an a la carte, but I also have monthly packages that include those things. And so the monthly packages, I can tell you, and I know you did the same thing. You go, okay, if you were buying all this stuff separately, it would cost you this, but because you're buying it in a package, I'm giving you all these discounts, and that's the value.
Yeah.
So Duncan was listening to what we had to say. This is what he said. Thanks, which we always appreciate that. You're welcome, Duncan. We appreciate that. He does say, which is cool, he does have another job already, so he's not in a big rush, which is cool in this case, Duncan, for you specifically. I think you could hang in there easier if you start doing the fractional work and doing the copywriting stuff and building that up on the side. As soon as you get to a place where you can start to replace the income primarily, that's where you can flip. Because a lot of people do that. They'll do a side hustle. They'll start a business as a side hustle. They'll do that after hours on the weekends. And then once it becomes, like I said, financially realistic for you to take on the major burden of your finances with your side hustle, then you can resign from your job and find another part-time job to, just flip spots. Now you're doing, part-time work after hours on the weekends, maybe security or something like that, right? And then you're doing your copywriting mainstream. And that's usually when people turn on their website and all that stuff and they go full bore with it. So again, Jen, I'm going to let you, because you're the expert here. I'm going to let you go.
I can't read. I'm on my phone, so I can't read.
It says, listening. Thanks again, Jen and Ira. This is all great. I do have another job and I'm just not happy with the company in particular. So a company, not job, I guess. It's
Mhm.
just been very heavy the last few years. So he's been there a while, applying for other positions and hitting a lot of walls. So he's applying and getting interviews.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
are you
again,
not getting any interviews at all, Duncan? Because that might, to me, Jen, you can tell me what you think, but I think that says one of two things. When people are applying but not getting interviews, so you're either running into resume issue, could be formatting, could just be, you're not qualified, but that's the other thing is it could be, a bad fit. So like stretch jobs, I think
Mhm.
used to be easier to get when the market was saturated and there was a lot of jobs, but not a lot of labor. So, right now it's like it's a buyer's market for employers. There's lots of employees to choose from. So
Yeah.
it's really hard to get a stretch job. And what do I mean by stretch job? I mean, it's a job that you can do it, but you've never done it before. So they don't look at your resume and go, oh, I'm going to hire a director. You've got 7 years of director experience. You might have been a department manager for, 20 years and you want to step into that director role. So that would be considered a stretch job. So it's usually one or the other. It would be a stretch job for them, or it's a formatting of the resume thing. What do you say?
Yeah. So yeah, I call it the targeting. Like, what jobs are you targeting, and what is your value proposition for those jobs, or how have you positioned and told that story on the resume? So yeah, it is one of those two things. The other piece, though, to be mindful of is for any job that's out there posted, less than 3% are going to get an interview. So you're going to be in that 97% of people that aren't getting an interview. It's super common
Yeah.
if you're just applying and sitting and waiting. But if you
Yes.
have a specific strategy to move beyond just that application, you can greatly improve those results and become that top 3 or 2% that are landing an interview. But it takes more than just applying online.
Yeah, and the thing that you guys have to understand, this is where the keywords are so important. The keywords don't come from your resume, they come from the job listing. So if you're not keyword matching based on the job listing, there's so many synonyms out there. They're similes. They're the words that are like, and you say, "Oh, okay, well, I've satisfied that." Well, no, you didn't, because the word account executive is not the same as account manager. And when they're pulling that list, that 3% that Jen is talking about who actually get interviewed, they're the ones that did the keyword job matching better from the interview. So this
They've
is when we
positioned
say,
themselves. Yeah,
yeah,
they're telling the story better. They've positioned themselves to be a really close match to that role.
what do
So
you think
anything that
about
looks off, you're not going to match.
what do you think about cover letters? I talked to so many job seekers who are not using cover letters right now, which
Good.
baffles my mind. So what do you think? What do you think about them?
Yeah, when I was a recruiter, I did not require cover letters and I did not read cover letters. And it wasn't because I'm a jerk, because I normally try not to be a jerk. It was actually because as a recruiter, when you're reviewing resumes, the way my system was set up, I only saw resumes. So I would arrow through resumes. If they had a cover letter attached, it was in a different place. And I would have to go out of my resume stack, go look at the cover letter, and then come back. So the
No.
only time I reviewed cover letters was either if I required it, which I didn't, or if the resume already had my attention and then I wanted to learn something more. Usually I was reviewing the cover letter for, are you organized? Have you spell checked your document? So I
Yeah.
was really looking for knockout reasons on the cover letter, not necessarily for you to sell me. So if
Have you?
you want something to sell a recruiter, put it in your resume.
No, if I 100% agree with that. And I actually had something similar. So we didn't have an ATS where I was working, right?
Yep.
At any places, frankly, that I was working, especially when I was the hiring manager.
Yep.
So for me, I didn't want cover letters. Have you talked to recruiters now, especially the internal recruiters, because it seems like that has flipped where it's required a lot more. Now it could just be the people that I'm dealing with, but
Yeah, if they're requiring it, then yes, I believe they're read. I didn't require them, so I didn't read them. The recruiters I'm talking to nowadays are still telling me the same thing, that if they're not requiring them, they're not reading them. Now, I do feel like if your resume is getting delivered directly to a hiring manager, then the cover letter can become important, because hiring managers are not these just processing high levels of resumes like a recruiter would be. So
right.
I do feel like they are read if you get them to a hiring manager.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna do some research on that because it's interesting. Now, I will tell you this: if you're going to cover letter, then you should cover letter keyword. You should make sure the keywords are in there because I do know there are ATS systems that will scan the cover letters, and so you want to
Mm,
make sure you're not reducing your score.
mm.
Your
My
match score. If you're going to use a cover letter, then you got to do it all the way. You can't do it halfway. So either don't use it at all, which is safe, or use it then keyword match to make sure that your matching doesn't go down. Because you're adding more words. You know what I mean? If they're scanning them, you go from 750 words to 1,000 or 1,200 words, whatever. Now your percentage is off. So there's a risk. There is a risk there. So it's interesting. That's why I wanted to get your opinion because I don't know. You know what I mean?
so
It does.
the applicant tracking system that we used was not programmed to scan for keywords. And I talked to many recruiters who don't have an applicant tracking system scanning for keywords. They're reviewing each resume that comes in, and that's what I was dealing with. So
Yeah.
I can't speak on
What
how to
system?
match keywords.
What system were you using?
Gosh, I can't remember now.
So
It wasn't Taleo. Hold on. I have them all in my head, but I can't remember which one it was.
So it seems
Maybe
like
Taleo.
the newer ones that are the SaaS, the software as a service,
Mm-hmm.
the newer ones seem to have no problem with PDF, which they used to, and they're scanning the cover letters as part of the system. But a lot of people aren't using those because they're expensive and they already have a system in place. It's not like 5 years ago when nobody had anything and you had to buy something, so you might as well buy the latest and greatest. Now people have invested in those legacy ATSs, so getting them to upgrade is been a challenge.
We had iSIMs. That's who we had. So one of the big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't scan. That's all I can speak to.
That's
I do know that keywords are important because my eye would scan for keywords for sure, even if my system wasn't. So I was looking for specific skills when I was doing my scan. And yes, it's true. Recruiters do a quick scan. They don't read your resume word for word, especially when they have that applicant tracking system that's not doing the scan already. So you
well,
want your keywords to jump out, either whether
yeah.
a recruiter's reading it or a ATS system.
And that's the same for your LinkedIn profile, by the way.
Yeah,
Right?
so that was something I was going to say. For a cover letter, treat your LinkedIn profile almost like a cover letter. Tell your stories in there.
That about section especially.
Yeah.
But your headline is important. You want to have a cover photo. I mean, there's so many things to talk about that we would never be able to get it all in an hour. We do have Abram has asked. He's from Liberia. He said, "Can I also benefit from your program?" Now, he doesn't say if he's talking about Project Help You Grow or Career Inspo. So I'll just speak for Project Help You Grow. Yes, it does help everywhere around the world. And I think Career Inspo, you can work with people anywhere too, right? I mean, your job is finding a job.
Yeah.
So there are differences, obviously, in different regions. For example, you might be using a CV, you might be using a resume. One of the common things that I get asked about is pictures in resumes or CVs, and that is a local thing. So you have to know where you are.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it does work with a local person, a recruiter, a career coach, if that's the case. But most of the advice we give is universal. So
yeah. If Abram wants to reach out to me, tell me what struggle you're having with your search, and then I can answer whether I can help you or not. It depends. Sometimes it depends if it's just because you're in a different country trying to move to a country, that can sometimes be an issue I can't help with. But if you're, tell me what you're struggling with and I'll tell you if I could help or not.
Mark from Texas chimed in and he said, "If you're waiting for the perfect time to start your own business, there will never be a perfect time to do it." And I 100% echo those. It is going to be a time suck, just so you know. Like, it's going to take a lot of time to do your business, and there's a lot more to than just running the thing that you're good at, like the accounting and the banking and all that stuff. It takes time, but the cool part is it's a labor of love. This is why I was talking about. In fact, Duncan has responded again. I was talking about. Remember, don't get away from what you're passionate about, because like I love creating visual graphics. I love visual communication. So when I'm building a website or I'm making a video or I'm designing a logo or making social media graphics for somebody, it's work, but I love it. You know what I mean? It's not a drain on my heart. It actually, I get excited about it. I smile about it. I'll work on it till 1 or 2 in the morning, and it's not like a big deal because I love doing it. If I was doing accounting, which I was trained to do, if I was doing that, I would not do it. And it took me a while to realize that passion is something that we should consider, especially when you're in your own business. But we got a response from Duncan. So let's see what he says. He says it's about a 40-60 split, me applying and not hearing anything back. So actually, that's true. You're better than average there. So that's good. But I've certainly had a share of interviews and just seemingly some bad luck in getting them. Okay, so I don't know if that means you're doing interviews, but you're bombing the interview. It seems like that might be the place to focus. It might be a confidence thing. Honestly, it sounds like that, I think many people don't realize then how long it takes to find a job. So when it takes them 4 months or 5 months to start to beat themselves up, they don't realize that job search is, 7 months, 8 months. I know people looking for a job for well over a year. I was actually talking to somebody. Now, I wanted to talk to them more, but they didn't answer the question. Somebody said they had been looking for a job for 6 years.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, it's hard to fathom that you've been continually looking for a job for 6 years. There has to be more to it than that. I don't know anybody who takes that long to find a job. But, I've got plenty of people right now that they're just over the year mark. They probably would have found something if the economy hadn't shut off like it did, but
yeah.
it is
And
what it is.
to add to, you talked earlier about that daily plan of how to block your time. One of the things that I have in my plan for job seekers is just self-care and really like step away from the computer for a little bit and don't get so wrapped up in it. Like you've got to let that, you can't have a clench hold on it. You've got to let it go. You've got to take care of yourself. You've got to guard your own mindset, your own confidence. Just know some of the statistics we've talked about today, where not everybody is successful the very first time. And just because you're not finding success, don't let it like take a hit to your confidence. You've got to guard that.
100%, 100%. I actually do address that in the article. I just didn't read it word for word, but it's important. Exercise. I actually tell people at the lunch break, it's one of those things, get off the computer, right?
Yeah.
Like go outside, go for a walk, do something, stretch. That's why in the breaks that I tell people to take, I give them 2 breaks in lunchtime. So they get an hour off in the 9-hour period. But that's what they're
slave
supposed to do.
driver.
And then I tell them, look, don't overconsume alcohol and be mindful of what you eat even for dinner, because your health is important, and alcohol, many of you don't know this because you don't pay attention, but alcohol is a depressant, and you're already in a depressing state in that, unstable, it's just one of those things where you're at higher risk for falling into depression. I actually wrote an article calling the mental battlefield, and it's all about the dangers of, we get our worth sometimes from our job. We are our paycheck in essence, and when we don't have one, we feel like we're useless, which is not true. We still have the same value, no matter our title, no matter our income. But some people see it that way. So just the mind is definitely something you got to consider, and the body is that's your temple. I mean, I hate to say it that way because that sounds odd, but the fact is, if you don't take care of your physical body, it's hard to do anything else. So mindful of what you eat. Okay, we are running up on the clock for an hour, so we're gonna start to wrap this up. What I always like to do at the end, we've had a pretty wide ranging conversation so far, but if you have any pointers or tips that like, hey, last words of advice, guys, think about this, or ladies, think about that, or anything maybe new that you've seen as an emerging trend. I always like to leave people thinking about it. And then of course I'm going to remind them to visit your website, which is careerinspo.com.
Career inspo. Yeah. I mean, I think, just to wrap up, it's kind of the same theme we've heard throughout the call, but know that networking and referrals is going to have your highest success rate. 70% of jobs are landed that way. Even if you're applying online, don't think that's enough. Still continue to leverage the network, look for referrals. Some people think networking means, oh, let me go message the hiring manager and let me message the recruiter. And now I've networked. And that's
Right.
not really networking. So the key is networking and referrals. So work through people get introduced to people that they know. Do networking that way, and don't, just stop at applying online if that's how you're finding jobs.
Networking is what got you on the show today.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because you and I know each other. You were a guest on my podcast like over a year ago, right? And we met, and we've been connected ever since. And I consider you a friend. You can reach out to me anytime. And that's when I have something that I know that you'd be a good fit for, then I reach out to you like, hey, would you like to come back on my show? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I want people to think about when they think about networking. It is relationship building, whether that's the introduction, which is okay to reach out to the recruiter and the hiring manager, but that's just the first step. Right. And actually what I tell people to do is not reach out with a connection request right away. If you want to talk about strategy, now this is social media strategies specifically, but what I say is get engaged in their post in the comments. Add some value that way, give them support, let them just see you a few times, and then reach out. And a lot of times they'll tell you a secret. You don't even have to reach out at that point. They'll reach out to you because people, what is everybody's favorite subject? Themselves. So if I make 7 posts and I see you 7 times in a row in my posts, I'm going to be like, who's this Jen lady? She's super cool, because people don't always remember what they say, but they do remember how they made you feel. You made them feel. So, if you're being positive, if you're being professional, if you're adding some interesting content in the comment section of my post, you're going to catch my attention. So it's one of those things. Now, the other thing I say on LinkedIn specifically, most people are not utilizing groups. And groups is a great way to get to meet people. So if you go and say, okay, well, this person is a 2nd or 3rd level connection to me, but they're in these groups, you can join that group. You can have conversations in that group. It's not public to everybody. It's just in that group. You can also, if you know that, you can actually message people inside groups.
Yeah. Gives you access to more people outside of your regular network.
Right. So, there's a couple of advantages to groups that people aren't talking about. Like, okay, I'm in Dubai and I want to move to Ontario. Just making this up, right? But let's say that, okay? If I am on LinkedIn and I look for networking groups that are in Ontario, join those groups, start having conversations, just naturally making friends. Now, guess what? Now I have people that are where I want to be who are going to start to want to help me, because we want to help our friends. That's in human nature. So again, that's the next level of networking that most people are missing it. It's not about how many people you're connected to. It's really not. Right. I've been maxed out on LinkedIn for years. Doesn't matter. The fact is, the people that want to help me are the ones that I invest my time in. Right? Like if I reach out to Jen and help Jen, then Jen's natural response is, oh, Ira's pretty cool. If I can help Ira, I'm going to help Ira. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you that a lot of people, I look to help them. They don't even know I'm looking to help them. I send, the other day, I got a thank you letter from Guyana Daniel. She's over in Europe. She's an expert at writing CVs. That's what she does for a living. And somebody, actually, she's my friend. She said, hey, Biana said, hey, who do you know who's really good at writing CVs? And I said, without question, Guyana Daniel. I didn't tell Guyana that I was sending her. I didn't even know Biana was going to tell her. I just made the referral. And anyways, that's what happens.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that you're doing is being really specific. Like you talked about moving to Ontario, that's narrowing in, zeroing in on a target. And true with networking, the more specific you can be, the easier it is for people to help. Your friend coming saying, who writes great CVs? A CV writer. Oh, this is who it can be.
Yeah. And to be completely frank, she was the first person who wrote a blog for me on Project Soldier that wasn't named Ira Bowman.
Really?
And it stuck with me. Yeah, she wrote the very first non-Ira Bowman blog on Project Help You Grow, and 2.5 years later, she got a referral out of it. Now, it's not the only referral she's gotten from it, but you know what I mean? I'm
It's a
just saying, it's
slow
not
burn.
that shelf life where you're only going to get favors for, a quick minute. It's,
Right.
there's history there.
Yeah.
And that history doesn't always pay off. It's like a seed that you plant that takes a while to germinate and all that stuff. You can see it right away. And I think that's the problem with networking is it is a longer game strategy. So
Mhm.
not
So
necessarily
you can speed it up. There are ways.
there are definitely
Networking for jobs is a little different from just networking.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I try to tell people all the time. That's why I do Follow Me Friday every week. I've done that for well over a year. It doesn't really do much for me because those people mostly are already following me before the event starts, but it does help people meet each other. And
Connect.
just like on these shows, I encourage people, tell us where you're from, tell us what you do, tell us what you're looking to do, how you're looking to do it, because the more you give people and you are engaging and increasing your visibility, it all because at the end of the day, if you say, I'm looking for a job as a web developer, and someone says, hey, I need a web developer, you go, hey, I just saw somebody somewhere, and you find them and you go, hey, that can happen just like that.
Yes. Getting specific. I love it.
Thank you very much for coming on the show, Jen. Again, I'm going to put it one more time on the screen just for everybody to see. This is Career Inspo. It's CARERINSPO.com. That's Jen's site. She does offer career coaching for a living. So she's a professional. She's been doing this for quite a while. She has several packages for you to consider. We talked about get your shift together, make your move, and career inspo method. And I would just implore you to consider, if you don't think that you can afford it, that how much is it costing you to sit there without an income, and think about it that way, because Jen's already told us earlier in the show that the average person she helps finds a job twice as fast as if she didn't help them. So, if you're looking at a 6 or 7 month employment gap and you can cut it down to 3 months, you could just take the 4 months that your salary that you're going to earn and take her fee out of that, and your opportunity of finding that job 4 months sooner was whatever her fee was. So anyways,
beautiful. Thank you, Ira. I appreciate it.
Now, again, I just want to, for those of you who didn't see my post earlier today, this is going to be the last Ask Ira Job Seeker Q&A that happens on Saturday and Mondays at the previous scheduled times. I'm going to be adjusting my schedule. So right now it's to be determined. So just stay tuned. I will have a new Ira guide out probably later this week. I'm changing things around. I will definitely have this show. It probably is going to go on to just once a week, but it likely will be on Saturdays because there are so many people looking for work that have something like Duncan that can't necessarily come on this show. And again, you can always watch any of my shows on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. You can watch this specific show on projecthelpyougrow.com on the Ask Ira tab. Okay. Jen, I'm going to turn on the music. Thank you so much for coming. It has been a pleasure having you on. Thank you very much. And I still can't dance, but I like to. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks. Bye-bye.